Sand Flats Recreation Area is in the southeastern corner of Utah near Moab. It's kind of a haven for all sorts of recreational users. It has a mountain biking trail that's really popular called the Slick Rock Trail. It's really unique in that you've got what looks basically like petrified sand dunes out there. You've got just acres and acres of these huge sandstone bluffs. They could be old sand dunes that have just frozen in place. They're really, really fun to ride your bike on or to ride your motorcycle on. There's some creativity involved in riding trails like this because your trail is just a set of paint stripes on the rock. So there's a bit of interpretation in where you want to go on this trail. So when you ride Slick Rock, you're never riding the same trail twice. It's a different experience every single time. So when we came out to Sand Flats, I've ridden that trail a couple of times before and never once thought about the lichens that are sitting there on the sandstone. I'm starting to look at the different lichens that are there and realizing in some places, oh my gosh, like this Slick Rock is totally covered 100% with lichens of every single kind. And then you look at the trail right in the middle where the paint stripes are, where the bikes are going, there are no lichens whatsoever. They've been totally removed by people who are riding their bikes on these trails.
A lichen is a mutually beneficial relationship between photosynthetic organisms and fungi, and they make little entities that look like one organism. I like this one because it's a vagrant lichen, Circinaria rogeri, and so it grows on its own in a little, it's like a tumbleweed of the lichens.
My favorite thing about lichens is how they refuse to be part of anything basic that is easy to define. They're so diverse, so mysterious that they'll never let themselves be defined. I'm like, yeah, I should be more like mysterious, like a lichen.
You've got your traditional, there's a fungus and an algae or something that photosynthesizes, right? But it's a lot more than that too. How do they form exactly? That's a major question that we still don't have all the answers to. How do you study something that you really don't know how it forms, right?
Well, lichens are found almost anywhere you go, from the mountains to the deserts to coastal areas, grasslands. You can find lichens anywhere, and those lichens play really important functional roles in their communities. They're a part of the ecosystem with interactions with insects and with biochemical processes, and they're critical wherever they're found, and they're found everywhere. So at Sand Flats, we want to document and understand those lichens in ways that we haven't known before. We know that there are a lot of lichens, and we know that those lichens are a critical part, but who are they? What's the range of diversity? How many of these are species that we already know, and which of these lichens are not currently known to science? So one of our goals for this research is to fully characterize this by going out and collecting specimens and then identifying those and bringing them back to a herbarium like this, where we get to study them in more detail, extract DNA, look at spore sizes, and see those complexities. So it's this fascinating part of going from seeing lichens outside where they occur and then bringing them back to a lab to try to make sense of it and then reconceptualize, like, well, what are these things doing now that we know what they are? Now can we go back to the field and see what they do in new ways?
This is a super scientific process we call poking the lichen. It does feel gelatinous. Look at that.
You can look at a specific region of the lichen genome, and each species has a unique sequence or a barcode in that region. So by comparing that barcode to a database of lichen barcodes that we already know, you can figure out which species this is. One of the questions that we're trying to answer here at Sand Flats is how do things like mountain biking or hiking or off-roading affect these lichens? So to be able to answer that question, we're going to take samples from high traffic and low traffic areas of these activities, sequence the barcodes, and find out, do we see the same lichens in different levels of disturbance for each of these activities?
When there's so much rock, it's easy to think, oh, nothing can be alive. This is a rock. A rock is not alive. But in learning about the history of the people of that area, the biological history there, it really becomes so much more beautiful, and I can really appreciate a greater understanding of the life that's actually there.
I thought about a friend of mine. This friend of mine would have taken off his shoes and socks and just walked around on the bare sandstone. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna lie down on the sandstone, close my eyes, look up into the sky. It was breathtaking to commune with the earth, to have nothing between me and the earth. We don't connect with the earth enough anymore. So I'm trying to connect more, and this has been a place where I can do that.
It was awesome and cool to see this subtle but beautiful way of life, and also to see people outside and enjoying and participating with the life of the Sandflats area through recreation. And something to me that makes hiking or biking or just being outside so much more enjoyable is learning about the life that I'm seeing and the organisms that I'm seeing. And so now when I go to Sandflat, they have a special place in my heart because I understand a little bit more of the biota in the area.
Being down in Sandflats and getting some feeling for the range of lichen diversity and walking across the sandstone, and it became really clear that we know next to nothing about the diversity of lichens, which ones are there, which ones are absent. We know very little about which factors influence what's there. And without knowing what's there, there's nothing we can do to understand or manage or see what's impacting those. I know like just a fraction of the lichens that occur there. So we're out there just trying to wrap our head around the range of diversity of lichens that typically we're not even thinking about.